Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to order. That takes us now, Ms. Babcock, update number 5. We are more than halfway now.
No, sir, I'm sorry. I would like to reopen a couple of your motions for additional clarity. On the fuel surcharge,
Liz.
on the fuel surcharge,
Lunch is fast approaching.
going on the weekly premise. So when is it posted? On what day of the week is it posted? I know, it's posted on Monday. When does it go into effect? On Monday or Tuesday of that week until Monday of the following week? Monday, Tuesday, probably Tuesday to Tuesday, correct? We need to make sure everybody knows
It's effective the posted date till the next posted date.
from posted date to posted date. That's your question. Okay.
But that was
Yeah.
just my.
Well, the
one
thing is they're gonna
I don't
get
know
the
if
If they're gonna-
Monday's a holiday, it's not posted Monday.
We're just looking for clarity because we have to actually do it and know how to follow up on it.
Yeah. well, so
Do we need to open that back up? I mean, I think it's self-explanatory, but if we need to clarify that motion, we can certainly make either an additional motion or amend it.
I think that's probably fair enough because it's the way it's stated.
Yes.
All right. And then I do want to open up the last motion where you said, where it starts with revise all tow template formats as included as separate fields and to return to the authority the proposed language defining base tow rate.
Okay.
You want us to define it. We're here because we don't know how to define it. We need commission, the authority to define the base tow rate.
So
Base
Yeah.
tow rate, that template is the
So
That's
it's,
a- rates. That's clear. Then you go hourly rates.
No, I just went on the proposed possible motion. So, Mr. Folletta, would you like to fill us in as to a definition of the base tow rate?
I'm gonna defer this one, this Lucas Folletta. I'm gonna ask Mr. Bombach to weigh in because
Okay.
he's very familiar with the discrete elements of each tow bill.
Mr. Bombach, please identify yourself and you have the floor.
all right, Michael Bombach, Nevada State Tow Association. We were talking about excluding all the different mileage rates that Ms. Babcock has written under point 3 for the mileage rate, since there already has an embedded fuel surcharge. And any subsequent tariff update could also include any necessary needed update to the price based on fuel and other conditions at a later time. So they wouldn't need to be captured in any kind of weekly fuel update anyways.
Does that make sense to you, Ms. Babcock?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not able to follow that. Could I
Okay.
ask? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Michael Bombach, so every rate that you have written under point 3 that has the mileage rate, you exclude that from the fuel surcharge. So then it's going to go back to the rates that were highlighted in blue, submitted by the Nevada State Tow Association, excluding the rates that you have written under point 3.
That is the opposite of how I understood it. My understanding would be you would increase the fuel, the mileage rates by the fuel increase and not include the other items. So I think that's backwards of what you just said.
Oh, did I not say that right? Because when we're talking about the base fuel rates and look at the 2-hour model tow tariff, we have the hookup hourly for category A and B and the hookup flat for category C. That would be subject to a fuel surcharge. That's not a mileage charge, but still subject to the fuel surcharge. Are we in agreement with that?
So looking at the blue markings that you did on those, on this tow template, you're
Correct.
saying exclude the mileage ones
He was referencing the 2-hour.
on the 2-hour.
Referencing 2-hour.
2 hours. So the 4-wheel drive, the hookup. I would be okay with that. It's not my decision.
Yes,
to make.
that is what I'm referring to. So those would be the base tow rates for when the tow truck is operating as a tow truck to include the loading and transportation and unloading. And those can be the, the base rates.
Right. So it would just exclude, it would exclude the load equipment trailer on the hourly.
Yes.
He directed to the pin number. He was referencing 2 hour minimum, which is page 16. I think, 16 to 29. Starts this.
And then the 1 hour probably goes along the same. Yeah, 1 hour would be the same.
Yeah, the 2 hour and 1 hour tow tariffs are the same with the rates that they have. The line item names, not the rate itself, but the line item names are the same. There's no additional line item between the two tariffs. The only question that brings up would be if the fuel surcharge would apply to any recovery rate, if you consider a recovery operation part of the base tow rate or not. I would argue, for the sake of this conversation, we can exclude the recovery rates as well to minimize how many different rates this fuel surcharge applies to. Because for the same reason as before, any updated tariff going forward can include an updated rate if we needed to. That's excluded from the fuel surcharge.
Chairman, Supervisor Brown is up here. He just wanted to clarify something, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Brown, jump in.
Supervisory Investigator Jason Brown for the record. So the way enforcement has been handling this since the implementation of the LCB change is with the tow carriers, we've been applying the fuel surcharge to just the hookup. None of the other charges, whether it be for layovers, dollies, lien fees, so on and so forth, mileage, all of that has been excluded. It's just based upon the hookup solely. So whether it's category A, B, C, whatever that hookup fee is, whether it's the hourly, whether it's the flat fee, that's the way we've been applying that percentage. We've been going in, we've been calculating whatever the percentage is based upon the weekly change and ensuring that they've been charging the correct amount. But it's only on the hookup fee. So hypothetically, I have a certain carrier's tariff that is approved right now. Their category C hookup for a day was $260. Whether they 15 miles, so that's 5 extra miles over the 10, and all of the other fees, and they keep it for 20 days, the storage, all that other stuff is excluded. It's just the fuel surcharge for that week is applied to that $260, and that's the way we've been doing it. We haven't had much, if any, pushback from the carriers down here when investigating complaints.
Okay,
So
so I guess the question is do we need to amend the former motion at all, Mr. Brown, in your opinion?
Sorry, for the record, Jessica Guerra, I just also wanted to, if I recall the motion correctly, it says to direct staff to revise all tow tariff template formats to include a separate fuel surcharge page and to return to the authority with proposed language defining base tow rate for fuel surcharge calculations, including evaluation of mileage components that already incorporate fuel. So is the pending motion to reopen this motion or to revise this motion to now come up with a definition? I just want to kind of throw that out there for.
Well, no, there's nothing
Sorry.
on the table yet, in my opinion. We're just staff has a question. And so if there needs to be a modification, that's when we'll crack this open again.
Understood. I just want to make sure where we're at.
Mr. Chairman, I, for one, I don't think we need to reopen this. I think we have a reasonable interpretation in place already by enforcement staff as articulated by Supervisor Investigator Brown. I think maybe Supervisor Investigator Brown can join the discussions with Ms. Babcock and the industry and come back to us with anything that they feel like they need to consult us with. But at this point, I think we're fine.
Okay. And I've got head shakes in the room from the tow association that are not on the record, but they seem to agree with that. Gentlemen, any comments?
Lucas Faletta, thank you. Yes, we're agreeable to that. We just frankly wanted to make sure we can move forward with the tariff submissions and implement this.
Yeah. Okay. Can we move forward yet, Ms. Babcock? To
You say
update
so.
audit.
So Liz, just basically what enforcement is doing is what we're gonna use for now, for the base rate.
And I will meet with Jason.
Thank you.
And then are we bringing this back at the next general session?
No, I think,
Only if there's an impasse. If there's an impasse, yes. If there's no impasse, then I think staff understands where we are
Yeah, I
with
think at
this.
some point, we
Yeah.
need to actually
All right.
make a ruling on what is base rate. So
Do we want to, okay, so given that, do we want to modify the previous motion to remove the return to the authority with proposed language defining the base tow rate? Do we want to just add if there is a question or something of that nature?
Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at our attorneys.
For the record, Jessica Garrett, I don't think you need to revise it, because it doesn't give an anticipated date of when to come back. It just says that staff will return to the authority with proposed language.
So-
So it could be like an indefinite period of time. It could be when there's an impasse.
if there's a dispute, we'll put it back on.
I'm good with that.
I don't think it needs to be motioned.
Okay, perfect. Let's move forward. Ms. Babcock, update number 5.
All righty. Annual CPI increase. So the CPI is based on the prior calendar year, January through December. I believe that was discussed at length at our last general session, and that was, although no vote was taken or whatever, I believe that was a consensus. The CPI index should be posted on the NTA website when available, which is not a problem. I did check the website. They didn't post one in October because of the shutdown. November will be posted on December 18th. So I'm thinking December will be posted somewhere around January 18th. Increasing rates by the CPI requires a tariff to modification following the regular procedures for adding rates. But it doesn't acquire any additional tariff page, but we do wish to put the date and the amount of the CPI that was applied on the bottom of the tariff page. So that it's there for recorded history. We know when their annual time will elapse and so on. The CPI applies to rates except those where fuel surcharge items have had those midterm increase and decreases. And fuel is a component of the all items CPI index. Let's see. So the CPI would be applied before the 3% cash discount. So some carriers have their rates increased by 3% so that they can give a 3% discount and still get the same rates as people that just the regular rates that are out in the industry. So what we're saying by this one is that we would take out the 3% for the discount, then calculate the 3% or whatever percent CPI, and then increase it again for the cash discount. Just so when they're finally, they understand not to just go from the full amount. The CPI, because it's annual, should only apply to carriers that have been in business for at least 1 year when they take it. The CPI is excluded from any rate approved or increased within the immediately preceded 12 months, given that if you're putting it on during that year, if it's new or increased, you've taken into consideration what the economy is at that point in time. So it's already been adjusted. Now, if staff is not opposed to allowing the retroactive CPI for 2024 which I read as being 2.9% for carriers without a 2024 rate adjustment, which was suggested by the Towing Association. However, I want to point out that in 2029, the agency, this authority gave 30% for all non-consent tow operators across the board. So that wasn't 2024. So anybody, 30% would not be eligible for the retroactive, in my opinion. Of course, not my opinion that counts. Carriers who receive the 30% would not be eligible. So that's a discussion for the mission, and that's my information on that.
So commissioners, the possible motion for update number 5, this is not a motion, this is a possible motion. We're just laying this on the table. To revise the tow tariff templates to add the date and rate of the CPI issued to the bottom of the tow tariff template page for ease of tracking CPI increases granted. And then a secondary would be to accept the tariff modification filings for carriers who have not had a tariff revision during calendar year 2024, and to increase the eligible rates by the 2024 CPI of 2.9%. Eligible rates are those that were in effect for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2023. Mr. Foletto or Mr. Bombach, any comments?
Lucas Fleta, no comment. We support this recommendation.
So the Tow Association agrees with the recommendation. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut somebody off.
I'm sorry, that was me, Chairman. I would also say we'd probably have to add to that, eligible rates are those that were in effect for the 12 months ending December 2023. We'd have to add that were not added or increased during that year.
Yes. And proportionally adjusted, perhaps.
Right. Yes, proportionally adjusted.
Mr. Zoka, do you want to take a stab at a motion that we can lay on the table for discussion?
Well, before I do that, Mr. Chairman,
Questions?
I don't know if we have any, I apologize. I was talking to my, our attorney here. Do we have any comments from the industry relative to this update? I
No.
didn't catch it. They're
No,
supportive.
no. They're in
Okay.
support of it.
And
Absolutely.
I think what I would like if Ms. Babcock could, this last piece of this, which is the, obviously we have those carriers that got the 30% increase, they would be ineligible. And I think that's the lion's share of our licensees. But to the extent that there's some licenses still exist that did not get that 30% increase, if you could just explain it in a little more detail for us, the relative to the increase for the 3.3%, and then again in 3.3% estimated for 2025. How does all that figure in? If you could just elaborate on that a little bit, so we understand that a little better.
So
And I'm looking at
to
page,
explain.
yes, so I'm looking at update 5, 2 of 3, the bottom of that. And because we had some questions on that, and I want to make sure that,
So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn. So
Discuss.
Ms. Doc,
Right.
I'm a little
Rate
confused why we're even, like I said, I don't follow this.
Every
but
rate.
Why we're even talking 2024, because these didn't even come back until December of 2024. So it would be going forward. Why are we going back?
Well, the going forward means, the way I see it, if it's effective December 24, the regulation, then January 1, you could get a CPI for 2024. Because now you're taking that annual increase in January 25. Or are we saying it's not available until January of 26?
So, for the record, Jessica Guerra, I think we share the same confusion is because the regulation was approved in December of 2024, so the end of 2024.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe this went in effect on January 1st of 2025. I think the question is, why are we going all the way back to January 1st of 2024?
She's saying the CPI is based on
The prior year,
previous year.
right?
Right. So in January of 2025, you're basing it on, have you been, it's an annual increase based on you were in there annually in 2024.
So I
So
think
you
actually,
get that increase.
so I think,
January 1/20.
now I understand what you're saying, Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn. So I actually think I'm gonna take the approach that you don't even get to start until January 1st of 2026, because I don't think you should be able to even consider 2024, because the regulation wasn't even in play at the time.
Well, I would,
It became effective July, correct, of this year?
No, this became effective December, like the very end of December.
Relative to the calculation. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the regulation itself became effective at the very end of December 2024. So I think you can only do this moving forward. So,
can't even hit till 26 is what we're talking about, because you need the full year of 25.
Yeah.
Requested in 26 to receive the benefit of what was CPI in 25.
correct. So I think Jan 1 of 2026, you get to use, you can now start, you get to use all of 2025 because that's when the regulation was in play. I don't think you should get the benefit of using 2024 because the regulation wasn't even in play.
That makes sense.
I understand what she's saying, but that's very legal.
I think that's
We're not
consistent.
touching- I'm not touching that.
Just a second.
I wasn't, discussion was, what the intent was when it was passed. So I think that's gonna be like a decision. I mean, I understand what your administrative attorney is saying, and I don't disagree with her. But I think ultimately the discussion is like whether or not you want to do a retroactive benefit starting in 2024, or are you going to apply it going forward? Which would then kick in, I guess, January 2026, if I'm understanding how the CPI functions.
So hold on a second. We have a comment by the Tow Association's attorney, Mr. Folletta.
Yes, thank you. So Lucas Fleta. So the regulation was in effect in 2025, and it specifically says that operators can increase on an annual basis the tariff rate by the CPI. So I think to say that the operators cannot implement this until 2026 is not consistent with the rule, which is that as soon as this was implemented, this price increase could have been implemented. And frankly, some operators may have already done that. Whether that's appropriate or not, I mean, it's a different matter. But so we agree with staff's approach, because otherwise, frankly, we're getting penalized for the fact that it has taken time to come up with a model tow tariff revision to reflect this rule, which has been in place.
Right.
Chairman, Administrative Attorney Yoni Wilburn, I actually have a different view of that because they've been allowed to take advantage of it since it came into effect, which other tow carriers have been taking advantage of these regulations, as stated by Supervisor Brown. They've been
Right,
using Mr. Folletta, can I finish, please?
Yes, I apologize.
Thank you. As indicated by Supervisor Brown, he's been looking at tariffs and bills and all of this along, fuel surcharges since it came into effect. As soon as it came into effect, tow carriers had started calling him and saying, this is now in effect. I understand they were confused, but they should have asked for guidance. They shouldn't have just sat and waited until this came along. It's been in effect for a year. So why are they saying they should be allowed to take advantage of this when they could have taken advantage of it the whole year? We shouldn't be penalizing. I feel like it's penalizing the public for them waiting on taking effect.
So, and I'm sorry to interrupt, and I'm sorry, sir, to interrupt. So, for the record, Jessica Guerra, I just want to read subsection, we're on subsection 10, right? Under the LCB, it says the operator of a tow car may increase on an annual basis his or her tariff rate by a percentage equal to the percentage increase in the Consumer Price Index, all items published by the United States Department of Labor for the immediately preceding calendar year. So it looks like it could go for the immediately preceding calendar year. It just, I'm not familiar with the CPI, so I don't understand when it comes out and how it processes through. So forgive me for my ignorance on that. But if it does say for the preceding calendar year, then it could potentially retro back for the preceding calendar year. But I do understand the concern that because the regulation wasn't in play until the end of the year.
So I guess,
We're looking back for the rate in the future. That's where you're.
well, what my
Okay,
concern
hold
is that
Hold
the
on,
regulation
hold on.
has been in effect since December of 2024.
Okay.
They've been allowed to take advantage of it. So in January 2025, could have looked back to 2024 to add the CPI. But what it seems like they're trying to do is saying, oh, we couldn't have done that. So now we want to add 2024 and 2025 into January of 2026.
And that's a decision for you commissioners, like,
Hold
at least
on.
from my position,
Hold on.
that's commissioners.
Hold on. I'd like to let Mr. Folletta chime in on this because we have a differing opinion and there's a lot of bantering going back and forth, and I want to make sure that his position gets put into the record. Mr. Folletta, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So Lucas Flettis. So what I'm saying is different. Actually, the proposal I'm hearing kind of that would be reflected in council's view of the rule actually punishes operators that have not implemented the CPI increase because the NTA has yet to update the model tariff, which facilitates their ability to actually update their tariff consistent with the rules and implement it. So operators that have been implementing either a fuel surcharge or a CPI increase are doing that at their own risk because, as I understand it, their tariffs haven't been actually updated to reflect those increases. The changes to the model tariff that you're doing implement the rule change, which has been in effect, and facilitate our ability to lawfully impose this charge. So what I'm saying is there are operators like, for example, Milne, who have not implemented these things because they've been waiting for the NTA to update the model tariff so that they could file their own tariff updates and then implement this appropriate and consistent with the rules. So in our view, we could not have been implementing this since it was implemented, since the rule was approved, because we haven't had a tariff increase associated with it. That's why we're suggesting don't punish those operators by not allowing them to capture that increase that they should frankly have been able to capture with a tariff update at the moment in time this was approved, which we could not have done.
Right, understood. Okay. I understand. Questions, commissioners?
No questions from me, Mr. Chairman.
None for me, Chair.
How about a motion, Mr. Zoka? Do you want to take a stab at it based on some of the suggestions that are in front of the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make two separate motions. The first motion is going to be to revise the tow tariff templates to add the date and rate of the CPI issued to the bottom of the tow tariff template pages for ease of tracking CPI increases granted.
Okay, for purposes of discussion, I will second that motion. Does the industry have any issue with that motion?
Lucas Fletta, no, thank you. We support it.
Okay, so we have a single motion on the table, which is good. That's the first part to revise the tow tariff templates. Is there any public comment on that motion?
No one is approaching.
Thank you. And no one online?
Or no hands raised online.
Perfect. So we have a motion by Zoka, second by Hartung for the first piece of this. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Zoka, go ahead. Second piece.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're going to have some, I'm going to try this motion based on Mr. Fallada's arguments here and see where it goes. Motion to accept tariff modification filings for carriers who have not had a tariff revision during the calendar year of 2024 and were eligible for that at that time, and to increase the eligible rates by the 2024 CPI of 2.9. Eligible rates are those that were in effect for the 12 months ending December 31, 2023. These would be adjustments that were not already taken and would have to be a pro rata adjusted for any other change benefits by increase they have received. So that would be my motion.
Second by Hartung for purposes of discussion.
And I know we're discussion on this, so that's why I made the motion, so we have at least something to work with. Thank you.
No, that's perfect. Any comments from the tow association?
Lucas Fletta, we support the motion. We're agreeable.
Chair.
Yep.
So
Go
may I
ahead.
ask a question? So the motion is going to be for carriers who are not allowed to take it, their CPI increase is going to be double for what carriers who were allowed to take it? So you're going to have a huge discrepancy? Because, for example, if it's only 2.9 for the year, but these carriers didn't take it, so they get the 2.9 for say 2024 plus the 3 point for 2025. So starting January 1 of 2026, it's going to be a 5.9 where everybody else has a 2.9.
But as I understand it, the ones that already took it have enjoyed that increase already. So that's already, Miss Wilburn, you've asked Mr. Folletta not to speak over you, so I'm going to ask you not to speak over me as well. That's already baked into the cake if I'm understanding this correctly. Go ahead, your comments.
My concern is not so much for the carriers, but for the public. They're going to be double charged by carriers who have not taken advantage of this, where other carriers are going to be less. That's my concern here. I understand we represent the industry, but we also have a duty to the general traveling public here. So this carrier, Milne, is going to have a 6% increase, where say Titan Towing already took it and theirs is only 3%.
If I could, Lucas Flooded,
Good, Mr. Folletta.
Titan Towing should have submitted a tariff modification to quote unquote take it, which they haven't been able to do because the model tariff hasn't been revised. And so maybe you might want to talk to Titan Towing about whether it was appropriate for them to quote unquote take the increase. What we're suggesting, and frankly, this is to cure the procedural lag that the agency has created between adopting a rule and actually allowing people to take it, which hasn't been, we haven't had the opportunity to do it because the model tariff hasn't been increased and we haven't been able to submit updates to our own tariffs. So the folks who have been taking it, first of all, skip that step, see whether or not that's something you want to inquire into. Two, they've been realizing revenue as a result of that, which we will never see because we're not applying this retroactively. We're just taking it going forward based on the prior year where we weren't able to, we're catching up the rate, but we're not realizing the revenue that we've already lost by following the rules. So I'm not sure why we're being punished. And the argument is that the public has an interest at stake. We've been doing everything the way it's supposed to be done. I think Ms. Babcock's trying to be equitable. And frankly, people who took this increase already are not the poster childs of how this should have been done.
And Chairman, I just want to clarify, Administrative Attorney, I just pulled the name Titan Towing out because it's a name I know. I'm not saying they took it. I just want to put that on the record. I don't want to penalize Titan Towing or anybody along those lines. It's just so I want to make that very clear.
Acme Towing.
Yeah. I'll use that from now. But anyway, like I said, it was just one of our
Right.
carriers. Name I knew. I am not saying they took it. I do not
No,
want
no.
any bad or ill will towards Titan Towing or anything along those lines.
Thank you for that clarification because we will get letters from, the listeners. All right. I agree with Mr. Folletta because they haven't enjoyed this increase yet that they were lawfully allowed to take because it's taken us, some time to put this into effect. So that's that. I still stand and I stand by my second of Mr. Zoka's motion. I think it's a valid motion and I think we're willing to vote. Go ahead, Mr. Ted. Have you frozen? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You were perfectly.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry, Chair. No, I was just trying to do a little bit of clarification for myself. So if a carrier files, next month or well, actually not next month, before the end of the year, and say we were able to get that on, are they can not file in 2026 to get a 2025 increase then? Do they have to have that increase on for a year? It says on an annual basis. I mean, is that yearly they can request, or do they have to have that increase within the tariff for a year before they can then request again?
I think, and that's a very salient question. I think it's always though the preceding year is how I understand this, and perhaps I'm understanding it incorrectly, but it always works on the preceding year.
Here.
For the record, Jessica Guerra, I have a question for, I believe is it Mr. Folletta? Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes.
So for the increase I believe it's the 2024 year, going forward in 2025, if I understand what you're saying correctly, is it just for that 1 year that they've missed out on, or is it an anticipated percentage on top of percentage going forward?
Filing.
You're entitled for a CPI percentage increase for each year based on the CPI for the full prior year. That's just the metric. And then you're entitled to the increase. We're catching that rate up to reflect the fact that we're 12 months into this year and haven't had that increase. So again, we're catching the rate up, but not the revenue. So we're not double counting anything. We're just bringing the model tow tariff up to date, consistent with the rule.
So let me clarify my question. Is there a proposed, or is there an end term that I may not be familiar with the catch up of the rate, or would it just end in 2026? And then go year by year after that?
Goes year by year. It goes year by year. The rule says every year a tow car operator may increase the tariff rate by a percentage equal to the increase in the consumer price index for the immediately preceding calendar year. This is a cost of living increase that's, to ensure that we can increase rates consistent with the increased cost in doing business.
And it's not been enjoyed for the previous year.
Ever.
That should
Right.
have been already increased, but was not. Right, I understand it. And again, I stand by the motion that's on the floor as being the seconder. Any more discussion, commissioners?
I think Ms. Babcock wanted to add a few words, Mr. Chairman, if she could.
Oh, okay, I did not see that. I apologize, Ms. Babcock. You're gonna have
It's
to
fine.
waive.
Staff was not opposed to a retroactive CPI for 2024 because it did go in effect for 2024. It's a whole year later. And this has been on an agenda and pulled off. It did make it to a couple of agendas, and we had some skipped agendas, and this would be penalizing, and I don't think it would be fair. That's just my 2 cents.
So Chair, when we see filings based on, say, the motion gets approved, we're gonna see a filing in 2026 that's gonna contemplate what the CPI was for the 2024 end, which would have gone in effect 2025, that they didn't enjoy, but then they're also to ask for the 2025 CPI on top of that.
No. So there's only gonna be two. There's only gonna be two. So they're gonna get the previous year, which is statutorily allowed because that's how it works. They have not enjoyed it for 2025 to this point, which they were allowed to do. So you're going to see those. There's going to be two different figures. It's not going to be just this whole thing, and then in 2026, they're not going to be able to file for an increase until 2026 is technically. I mean, you're going to see the 2026 filing, but it's going to reflect 2025 numbers.
Okay, I think we're
So
all.
and then for 2026, they won't be able to file for that increase until 2027. Because it's always retroactive by a year.
And I would add, Mr. Chairman, that the majority of the toy industry got a 30% increase. So when you look at that, this is really just small potatoes compared to what a lot of them gotten last year. So
Agreed. And I would also argue, Mr. Zook, and I'm sorry, go ahead. I would argue that they had not had increases, and so that was again a catch up for them because they're being deluged with all manner of costs, not just the cost of fuel, the cost of vehicles, the cost of labor, the cost of insurance, the overhead, that nut as a whole. It's just a catch up for them. And quite frankly, And I'm not trying to carry water for the tow industry, but my concern is that if they don't have the ability to recover costs, we're gonna see a lot more go out of business. So we have a motion on the table and we have a second. We have a motion by Zoka, second by Hartung. Is there any more discussion on this motion? I'll
Chairman,
take your, go ahead.
I'm unclear. Are we saying then that if they got the 30% in 2024, they would now be eligible for that CPI for 2024?
Well, the 30% is really has nothing to do with this, the statute, the regulation doesn't contemplate those increases. This is just the CPI increase.
You've already, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Zoka.
Go ahead.
Ms. Babcock, you've already noted the staff positions on, outlined. I completely agree with that. That's what I was
I mean, she's saying it's not in the motion though.
yeah, it's not a,
To exclude. those
No, no.
things.
So do we want to restate the motion, Mr. Zoka? I mean, I'm happy to resend my second.
Well, actually, what,
it includes the words adjusted.
no, it would be covered though, because have not had a tariff.
That's right.
During twenty
Not had a
twenty-four.
tariff increase, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
I don't think it is-
I
yeah.
think the motion's good, Chair.
Yeah, I agree. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. This is my favorite update. Update 6, no motion required. Ms. Babcock.
Yes, sir. There's no template changes required and no policy changes. This is just has to do with the number of hours for them to complete certain procedures.
Yep. So we don't need to do any accepting. It's already been decided. So no motion is required. Staff recommends no changes to regulation, templates, or policy. We're cooking with gas now, Ms. Babcock. I love this.
Okay, update number 7. They've added to the definition in our definition 11 on our published rates, rules, regulations, rates, and charges that we have posted. We have a definition 11, which has to be updated because they've added that it can also be based on the estimated weight of the vehicle being towed, which is, as you've heard, Dan, than the way it's worded now currently. They didn't change the wording, they just added to it. And so we need to add that to our wording on our tariff template. And then we also working at the of category C on our templates, and we would add that wording there as well.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
None from me, Chair.
None from you, Chair.
So the possible proposed motion is motion to revise tariff rate definitions 6 and 7 to include estimated vehicle weight for determining category A and category B classifications, and to revise all tow tariff template formats so that category C recovery column headings include estimated vehicle weight. Comments by the tow association?
Lucas Fletto, we support this change.
So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
So I want to second that, Mr. Chairman, for purpose of discussion.
Okay, motion by Hartung, second by Zoka for purposes of discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Zoka.
So the other thing I'm concerned about in the motions language says motion revise tariff rate definitions, and it references NEC 706, 406.1 and 2. we're not really revising the regulation. All we're doing is we're saying that I think we're going to consider the estimate here as part of that interpretation. We're not actually revising the regulation.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that.
Okay. Because I just don't want to, this is not a regulatory adoption session. We're just providing a reasonable interpretation of the regulation for staff. So staff understands what the regulation is intended to do here.
Do we
And I-
want to just do it? Would you like me to amend the motion to say motion to define tariff rate definitions or motion to accept tariff rate definitions, 6 and 7? How about that? Motion to accept.
I missed it. Could you please repeat that, Mr. Chair?
Motion to accept tariff rate definitions 6 and 7 to include estimated vehicle weight for determining category A and category B classifications, and to revise all tow tariff template formats so that category C recovery column headings include estimated vehicle weight.
For the record, Jessica Guerra, from an OML perspective, there's no issue with this motion.
Seconder agree with the revised motion?
Yes.
Okay. So a revised motion by Hartung. Seconder Zoka agrees with the term accepted as opposed to revise. Good call, Mr. Zoka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any comments from the Tow Association?
Lucas Fleta, we support this change. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions, commissioners?
No, none for me.
Okay, so we have a motion by Hartung, second by Zoka. Is there any comment from anyone in Las Vegas?
No one coming forward.
Anyone online?
There are no hands raised online, Chair.
Motion by Hartung, second by Zoka. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Well done, commissioners. So, commissioners, that's item number 83. Perfect. We can, if commissioners want, we can go ahead and take our lunch break. I know I've got a couple of people sitting here, but that's just, this is the nature of having these types of items. So what I'm going to suggest is that we come back at 1 o'clock sharp and continue with item number 84. Are you okay with that?
Good to meet.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we are in recess until 1.